Welcome back to the Drawing Room with Donna. Today's subject will be a small field mouse. We're going to start just with a couple of small ovals, and I'm using a mechanical pencil today. Mechanical pencils have really helped me in my drawing because I was that person who always pressed too hard. So using a mechanical pencil for me keeps it nice and light. So we have the first larger oval here for the body, the smaller oval for the head. Next, think about that muscle, that hind muscle. So again, it's an oval. And think about that mouse sitting on that oval. So it has to be good and strong. And mice can actually jump pretty good distances. So again, a good strong oval there. And then we can do a nice curve here, an upside down U for the first ear. And then we're going to echo that shape in the back. Okay, and then come on down the forehead to the snout where it comes out for the little nose and down with a pretty straight line. So when I do the muzzles or the little mouths, I often go a straight line, then a straight line, so it doesn't end up being too curved. Okay, so we have that. We'll place the eye. We'll have to double check and make sure it's in the right place. And I feel like my ears are probably too far towards the front. I think I'm going to be taking them back a little bit. So now up along the back and coming down towards the tail. And I'm just going to erase my placement here for the ears. And that's another beauty of the mechanical pencil. Because it is so thin and so light, it erases so easily. So there's one ear, and there's another ear. And going down there. Okay, so now I'm going to do the haunch part for the front feet. So it's also a U shape. And if you were to imagine holding a string with a weight on it, coming behind these ears, it would come down right about there, okay? So that tells us, we'll bring those little feet out. I'll just do a curved line for now. And then one behind, to let me know where that other little paw is going to go. So the tail is rather long. So I'm going to come out for a curve that way and then bring it back. So starting a little wider, closer to the body. I'm just going to do some small lines. I find that if I go too fast, I definitely don't get accuracy. Okay, so I'm happy with that for now. I think my body has to come up a little bit further to look more mousy. And I can start now with a little bit of shading here, and then here on the little muzzle space. There's the nose, the eye, shading. So again, if we think about our light source, so the sun coming down this way, anything that is underneath is going to be slightly in shadow. So I'm just going to start making small references to shadow. If it's under the body, it's going to be darker. Okay, and coming back here, the elbow, back elbows here It's going to be on a bit of an angle coming down to one toe and two toes and three toes. Okay, and this is a muscle coming into the body. And then we have that darker area down here. You can have a little bit of a shading there where the head meets the back. Okay. So the little eye. Leaving a bit of a highlight in there. Find that just leaving that tiny little highlight, that little white patch, the white of the page, gives it just so much life. Just makes it so much more lively to have that little highlight. Okay, a little more shading at the top here, coming down. Some shading here, going into the ear. And I have a blending stump. So this blending stump is already rather dirty, which is quite handy because when you're going in to do the shadow, if this was entirely clean, this blending stump, it would really just pick up the pencil that's here. But because it's got quite a bit of pencil on it already, I'm going to get some nicer three-dimensional effects in my shading here. And let's just do a little bit on the tail. The tail is just a lovely, soft, pinky gray. So there we go. So I'm going in small circles. I want to give a little bit of an effect of fur. So if I leave little spaces between things, I go in small circles, leave little spaces between things, I find that it gives more of a furry look. Okay, shadowy here. Looks like I forgot my feet at the front. So comes out like a little arm and the little toe, 1 and 2 and 3, coming up, and the back 1, 2. Okay, just leave it like that. And I'm gonna go even more exaggerated with the value in the back. So remember value from the last lesson, that I'm trying to do my darkest dark here, just to exaggerate and show that it's further away and it's in shadow. Again, I can exaggerate the shadow under here. And if I want to, I can have some nice dark shadow here under the tail. It would be darkest closest to the object. And get a little bit lighter, so you can transition your values. Really smooth transition, just makes it look very beautiful. Like ombre. Okay, so I'll just use the eraser on here. So I wanted a stronger chest going up, like that. And then remember the kneadable eraser from the last lesson. Not only does it erase beautifully and so simply, but it also can be used to erase marks off of your skin while you're drawing. So if you tend to get pencil, you can lift it with this. Okay, so having brought that darker dark, now I want to have a nice smooth transition. And we'll take it in here because I find that you are getting too much contrast between light and dark now. I really want it to be more of a gray. A nice gray tone with just 2 or 3 values happening here, and then I can lift a little bit of it off if I want to get better highlights. So let's see here. Let's get suggestion of the ear going deeper here. And then I'm going to use my kneadable eraser and make a bit of a point. That's super handy if you have forgotten your highlight in the eye, because if you just touch it like that, it lifts up enough of your pencil to give you a highlight. And now I'm going to go in and just touch it in different parts along here to suggest the light coming down. And my last step, once I'm happy with my proportions, is I'm just going to make a darker outline. And that's really for the purposes of the lesson. Some artists don't outline in a darker value, and a lot do. So it's really personal preference. I like the look for if somebody is just like really quickly looking through the sketch pad. I find that something is much more likely to jump out if it has the darker outline going around. You can often correct anything that seems a little off while you're going around. Just really think about that mouse and think about the light hitting it, where the shadows would be. Its little toes, 1 and 2 and 3, coming up to a muscle here that bends in. Have a bit of shadow here. And then the fur actually goes out a bit at the back before the tail emerges from the body. There we go. Let's see if I can clean that line up a bit. Clean that up a little bit. Don't know that my whiskers would be that long. Clean that up a bit. Shorten those whiskers. Make this into more of a shadow. And if you remember from last lesson, we were hatching, where all the shading lines or the shadow lines were going in the same direction. So that is hatching. So this little guy, because he really doesn't need, he doesn't need the deep darks that would come from cross hatching. Hatching is enough. Now I know that there's a beautiful texture on a mouse's tail. So I'm really just going to suggest a little bit of it here. It's a beautiful pattern if you ever get a chance to look closely. Clean this line up a bit on the top. And then I really think we're done. And that's our drawing for today. So thank you for joining me for this sweet little mouse. And next class, I have some ideas, but I'll see you in a week with our next animal. Bye for now.